Greetings and welcome into the rant, everybody. Kate McFarland alongside Christy Maria. We survived 7.5 inches of snow. We even did some work for our news team. And all they gave us, they kicked us out of our spot. The Olympic Center is for Olympic stuff only for the next month, and put us right here. Took away our chairs. So we're just standing for the rant this week.
Just rock
welcome,
back and forth for a little while.
Hey, we're just happy to be ranting on a week from now. We'll be watching a Super Bowl, which is fantastic. We're sponsored by the Tulsa Oilers.
Yes.
The Oilers will not be back home until much later in the month, the
February
25th. Is that? Yeah, so a 6-game road trip coming up, but a couple of big wins this weekend to kind of get things back on track.
2-game win streak, the bigger of which, last night. 5-4, an overtime win. Jack DeRemus, I mean, he's been fantastic.
He's got some guys who can score on this team.
They really do. He's up to 19 goals in the season. He's a rookie, by the way. He's now 4th in the ECHL in scoring, trailing Dylan Sadaway with 22 in first. But this was just a fantastic game, an absolute barn burner. And when you beat Allen 2 nights in a row, and the second of which is a massive overtime win to get you tied for third, and now with a chance today to beat Rapid City and have sole possession of third. It's
good hockey.
It's just fun hockey to watch. These guys have just been fantastic. And so hopefully you got a 6-game road stretch. You got to come back with a few of those because this is when it matters. This is crunch time. You got first place and second place especially within reaching distance. And you got to go out on the road and get it done.
All right, February the 25th, your next chance to check out the Tulsa Oilers. Don't miss it. All right. We know you're not going to miss this. Super Bowl 56, 1 week from today. That will also be, during halftime of that game, our season finale of the rant. Cannot wait for Rams-Bengals, a game none of us expected at the start of the season. I guess the Rams are about a 4.5-point favorite at the moment. Chris, what do you think?
This is just such a fantastic offense versus defense matchup when you talk about this Bengals offense versus the Rams defense. The Rams defense has kept them in so many games until Cooper Kupp comes alive and the offense catches up. But I actually did have a question for you, for your take on this game. Because we have seen both of these teams come back most recently in the championship games, if the Rams are the team who gets out front in this game, are the Bengals able to come back against that defense, or is that too tall of a task for the Bengals to handle with that Rams defense?
Well, when you got Aaron Donald on the other side, I don't like anybody's chances if they fall behind. But if anybody is going to pull it off, I think it's this offense. I mean, you're looking at that back shoulder throw. Nobody in the game right now does this better than Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and that's the sort of thing you don't have to protect for very long. I think they're able to do some things that, might allow them to come back if that's what happens. Look, I'm going to pick the Rams in a close one because of Aaron Donald, because that defense is the superior unit, because McVay, I think they have gone all in, right? He lost in the Super Bowl and was just heartbroken by the way that went down, and Belichick sort of dunked on him and his offense, a couple years ago. I think, and obviously the Rams have traded away all their first-round picks and just gone in with veterans and great players, all-pro kind of guys.
You talk about a closing window.
I have to pick the Rams for that reason over this very young Bengals team. One reason I'm not picking the Rams, though, quarterback. As much as I like Matt Stafford, I love Joe Burrow, and I think the Bengals have the better quarterback. Even though he's only a second-year guy, I think they've got the better quarterback in this matchup, and for that reason, there is no way I'm counting Cincinnati out. And if it's close, if it's a one-possession game late, I think I flip, and I like Cincinnati probably more in that scenario. I think the Rams have to be the better team in the first 3.5 quarters and take care of this thing and put it away. Give me the Rams in a relatively close one, even though, what I just said is that I like Joe Burrow better in a close game. And don't pay attention to what I say. Just pay attention to my final pick.
You talk about two of the big play weapons in the NFL. Right here you see one of them, Cooper Kupp. You talked about the other in Jamar Chase. I mean, you got a lot of times in the Super Bowl you talk about who can break off the big play. In this Super Bowl, it's going to be who breaks off the big play when it really matters. Because Cooper Kupp broke off two of them to get the Rams set up for that final field goal to beat the 49ers. And Jamar Chase, he didn't have the really late play, but, I mean, he lit it up late. He gets the touchdown, and then you have the run game with Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine on that Bengals team that basically ran out the clock until they were able to kick the field goal. So you try to figure out who's going to have this big play late, and I like that way of thinking of if it is a close game late, I take the better quarterback, which is Joe Burrow right now, the better quarterback connection, which is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, because Cooper Kupp has bailed out Matt Stafford so many times this year.
Even though Stafford was really good against Tampa and San Francisco late, and when you blitz this guy, he's dynamite. I mean, over the course of 60 minutes, he has a tendency to make some egregious mistakes. But he has been good, all credit, in the playoffs, down the stretch, fourth quarter games. He's been good in winning time. So
not the game we expected, but it's going to be fantastic.
That's right. It is a good quarterback matchup. And those receivers you just mentioned, I bet, I haven't done the research on this, but I bet Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase come into this game with more total receiving yards, and let's throw in the playoffs as well, than any wide receiver head-to-head matchup we've ever had in a Super Bowl.
Very, very
For
possible.
Kupp, it was 1,900 yards, second most ever. Chase in his rookie year, more than 1,400 yards. Both of them have added to that in the playoffs. These guys come in as the most accomplished, if you will, just in terms of sheer yardage, wide receivers that we've ever seen go to head-to-head in a Super Bowl matchup. So a lot of firepower, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And defenses, obviously, with the Rams, who are spectacular, and then the Bengals, who have certainly had their moments and in spots been great, and
the entire second half
takeaways and everything else, absolutely. We look forward to this matchup. It'll be right here on 2 News Oklahoma, and as we said, at halftime, the Rant next week, our season finale. All right, let's talk a little Bedlam hoops. That was an interesting ball game. Not always pretty. Not always pretty, but in a lot of ways compelling. Oklahoma State defeating Oklahoma yesterday in a game where both teams badly needed it. The Cowboys improved to 4-6 in league play. The Sooners dropped to 3-7 with a really tough slate ahead. I mean, that was the kind. If OU wants to make the NCAA tournament, this is not the kind of game they can afford to lose.
And look, I don't think anyone could pick against Oklahoma State in this game because of something that Mike Boynton said after the game. You come in with a 4-game losing streak, and it's the day when you remember the 10, right? You think of a game that you cannot lose in Stillwater. I mean, they played like it. They played like this was a game that they cannot lose. They played like this was their NCAA tournament game. And when a team is playing like that, absolutely. When a team is playing like that, if you're OU, that's when you got to beat them. That's when you have to beat teams because they're playing desperate. They're throwing everything at you like they're going to do in the NCAA tournament or the Big 12 tournament. And OU just has not won those games, and it does not get easier coming up. OU is kind of fixing the turnover issue. They won the turnover and rebound battle in this game. But now you go 3 out of 5 games coming up are on the road. All 5 are against ranked opponents. The best chance you have at a win is against a very good Texas team at home.
Right.
I mean, it's just, it doesn't look great coming up. I love Porter Moser. I love what he's doing with this team. This team is hard.
All good.
Their 3 ball is off. They have not found it at all in conference play. Their shooting percentage is off. That's what won it for Oklahoma State, I think, was the 48% from the field. And if you're not shooting it well and you still have these lingering turnover issues, you are not, first of all, not going to be a tournament team. And second of all, you're not going to be a very strong tournament team.
Early in the year, nobody knew exactly what was coming from Porter Moser in this roster that was put together. So many of these guys, weren't even with the Sooners 1 year ago. I think they caught people a little off guard. A lot of that non-conference schedule, and then even the first several games in the Big 12. They've been scouted now, and there are some weaknesses, and obviously the turnovers are a huge issue that continue to plague this team. But frankly, they're just not a great shooting team. And in this league, as great as the defenses are, I mean, OSU comes at you with length. There's so much size and arms. I mean, it is hard to find. That's right. It's hard to find good looks, and this is not a team that can routinely make contested shots. And so they don't look like a tournament team to me right now, even though I think Lenardi and probably some of the other bracketologists have them in at this moment. And you look at the next 5 games, you're playing Texas Tech twice. You're going on the road to Kansas. They could, if they don't beat Texas at home here in about a week and a half, I think there is a pretty good shot that the next time they see OSU in the Bedlam rematch, OU will be 3-12 in Big 12 play with, in my mind, at that point, no shot of making the NCAA tournament.
Outside of winning the
So
Big
they
12.
are going to have to play way above the level that they've been playing over the the losing streak. I guess it's
6 of the last 7.
That's right.
7
There
of the
you go.
last 8,
It's
something like
6
that.
of 7. They've got to play so much better than they have. Now for OSU, just the quick point: 41 of their 64 points scored by kids that are Oklahoma natives.
Awesome.
The two Boone brothers, who were both great.
Fantastic.
And then Walker and our boy Bryce Thompson from here in Tulsa.
Caleb led
this
the game.
game means more to the kids that were born in this state. And OSU has more of those kids, certainly has more of those kids playing, a premier starring role for their squad. That mattered. Remember the 10 and the emotion of that mattered. And credit to OSU, as you said, they don't have near as much to play for. They're playing for pride. They dug down deep and found some. And
some with nothing to lose for, though. That's a dangerous team.
No question.
You just want to burn everyone else's barn. And I tell you what Porter Moser has to be saying to the team right now, and what OU's mindset has to be, if we want to look on the bright side for OU, you got a chance in these next 5 games.
Yes,
Not
right.
You have a chance to go 3-12 in the Big 12 before you face OSU again. It has to be you have a chance to say something about your team. You have 5 ranked opponents coming up. If you have a winning record in this next stretch,
how about
you
just
flip
2 and
the
3?
Script entirely. Yeah,
just
you take
2
two
wins
of these games.
Absolutely.
You take the 2 games at home. You flip the script entirely. Let alone if you sweep it. If you sweep it, you're back easily in the tournament as an 8 seed.
Starts with Texas Tech this week. You'll be there in Norman. That may be news to you right now, but that's where you're going to be on Tuesday night. All right, let's wrap this up. It was signing day on Wednesday. I want to say it got a little overshadowed around here because of the snow, but some really fine classes signed. Brent Venables holding this thing together and bringing in some really great defensive talent. OU finishing number 8 in the country, which is remarkable considering the situation they were in as Lincoln Riley left for USC. OSU number 21 in the country according to Rivals, number 29 according to 247. Either way, one of the best, if not the very best class Mike Gundy's ever signed. 9 Oklahoma kids in that class, which is the most Mike Gundy has ever signed. And there we have our guy Gentry Williams, Booker T. Washington, the top defensive recruit for Brent Venables and OU. It was a really good signing day all the way around here in the state of Oklahoma.
First of all, I want to shout out Max Brown for keeping his event going.
Yeah, that's right. Almost everybody else.
Yeah, almost everyone else.
Snow pushed it to next week.
Yep, postponed it to Wednesday.
Christian says.
Yeah, they said, snow's coming later. We'll get Max signed and off to Florida. And so one of 2 guys from around are going to Florida, as well as Chris McClellan. Very impressed with the in-state class this season and how well both OU and OSU did in-state. I think OSU, this is the biggest win for them in a long time. I mean, this is the biggest win for them recruiting-wise in a long time, not only because you have kept so many strong talents in-state to go to OSU rather than flip to OU.
Was recruited by everybody, the receiver out of Edmond Santa Fe.
You get so many guys that were recruited by OU to come to Stillwater, and you get those in-state wins. That's fantastic. And then, I don't know if these kids are thinking, do I want to play in the SEC or not? But a lot of these kids might be looking at, if I go to OU, I can play in the SEC in a couple of years, and they still go to OSU. That makes it even a bigger win. So I think this is a massive win for OSU, taking some of those in-state guys.
And a quick note regarding TU, you mentioned the SEC. TU, for the last, they've picked up several kids in the transfer portal from SEC schools, Texas A&M, Missouri, and they go and get one from Kentucky. Jenks native Isaiah Epps, who spent 4 years at Kentucky, played a little bit, caught a few passes there, but now comes here as a grad transfer with the 5th season and a chance to maybe put together a really special season at 11th and Harvard. So signing day is always one of my favorite days. And the great thing about this year, even though the snow day messed with it Wednesday, all of that stuff gets postponed and we get to prolong the day and talk about those signing days next week. So we look forward to that, and maybe we'll bring you a little bit of that next week.
Signing day on Super Bowl week.
That's right, signing day. I love it. 2 of my favorite things in the entire world. Once again, Super Bowl 56 right here on 2 News Oklahoma. Continue to enjoy the Winter Olympic Games right here on 2 News Oklahoma, and we will see you again next week, everybody.